generally speaking, like I am on board with the majority of what Mikami is putting down here, but I am in the camp of Gyarados and Del Lago are a bit wank. Not to be like, all right, intimidating sound, unsheathing sound of claws. I get the mechanics, I get the terror, but he is also absolutely bloody ridiculous. And again, the catfish fight. Oh, it's for the time, novel idea. You're trapped on a boat and you have to spear this thing before it kills you. Okay, fair. It is just a giant grey blob with mouth. That's not really all that appealing. The Ganados, though, all right. They go, but they have a variety of weapon, a variety of speech. They are like, sometimes slow, sometimes fast. I think they communicate a little bit. They're not the most obviously tactile, except for maybe when you go in that one shack and they go, "Get the chainsaw." Yes, Jeff. I'll get the chainsaw.
Jeff the chainsaw.
Yeah, exactly. And then manipulate power tools. That is amazing. But also, oh dear, what have you done? You've shot this guy in the head, and now he's got a tentacle. And that tentacle reaches 20 feet and bites your goddamn head off. The first time that happens, you are sat in your chair going, "What the F?" And in the best possible way. Like those bits where the quote-unquote more alien aspects of it. That's the really cool bit. That's the bit that I'm like, yes. Obviously, everyone goes on about how the regenerators are pretty neat. Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. But I'm kind of more of a Verdugo guy. I'm more of a Pasanta guy in that case. I'll tell you one BOW I wish I knew more about that we never get any lore on, though. Why is there a giant plant at the top of Salazar's castle that just is apparently the Queen Plaga now and can turn man and Verdugo into beast thing Willy Death Monster? End scene.
Because the gameplay demands it.
Yeah, that's it though, isn't it?
I've talked about this a little bit before with RE5. I think that's really where it loses itself. But this is kind of the beginning of Resident Evil kind of doing monsters for monsters' sake, for my tastes. And I know you probably quite easily argue that about some of the older stuff. Definitely. Just the justification for a lot of the stuff in RE4 is just kind of flimsy. And there's no consistency between them. Except, an obvious flailing weak spot in the back. I really wish they'd gone to some measure to explain how the Plagas is a binding agent between DNA better. Like the Verdugo is human and insect or whatever, for example. And, Del Lago, big salamander, which is big for some reason. And, don't forget, El Gigante, big man. Why is he big? Because he's big man. That's about as far as you get.
Felt like
big man. It's big guy. We binded the Plagas with a DVD box set of Lord of the Rings. Anyway.
Wow, yes. You are right. It did come out 3 years before.
At the time.
It was the style. It's literally just, it's just that. But I'm being silly and facetious. I'm being facetious, of course. But for me, it's much easier to, and this might just be my point of view, visualize how a virus could change something's DNA to make it big and more snarly. But the Plaga, it's so vividly, in fact, as I did earlier, so well described in terms of, it wraps itself around the host's spinal column and it does this and that. It's like, yeah, okay, but like, how does using that, and I'm sure they probably just mean like a part of the Plaga, sort of part of its mind, or part of its brain or whatever, some of its spores. I just wish we'd had a bit more explanation of the actual science of the POWs. And whilst I love the mystery of the origins of the Plagas, this is where I'm like, yeah, but I like the pseudoscience in Resident Evil, and this is where you start to lose it. At least we have the minimal justifications of insect and Plagas, which is an RE5 you don't get. All of that said, some of the monster designs in RE4, of course, are some of the most iconic designs in the series. The Verdugo, the Gyarados, and so on have gone on to be beloved creatures, and I would agree with that assessment. I think they're great, and maybe sometimes it's okay, and we should just put gameplay first. And I think you can have cake and eat it. I think you can put gameplay first and then try and explain it, even if it's kind of flimsy. I'll take that over nothing. But for people that it doesn't bother, I completely understand it, because the designs are great, the boss fights are great, and it's a fun game. But always be a little bit of a sore spot is the the kind of origins of the BOWs in 4. Because they're so good as well. I think it's because they're so good. I'm like, I wish I knew more about how this thing came to be.
Yeah, you want more.
Yeah,
like,
I want more
because
from
you
this,
like looking at them. Yeah,
right. Other than just it's a cool fight with a guy that can't see you, so you got to sneak around and shoot him on the back. It's like, that's neat. Why is he like that? Del Lago though, rubbish, absolute rubbish. He's a salamander, but he got really big. Like, it's just crap. James, anything stand out to you in terms of Plagas infected monsters in RE4?
Oh yeah, like the Verdugo is just stand out. Mm-hmm. Like in terms of, I mean, it's going to be a favorite of mine anyway, isn't it? Because I mean, I think we all know.
I don't know why.
I think we all know, is it was also one of
it looks like the Predator.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, it looks like Yautja. That's the reason. Yeah, it was one of the reasons that I was, because the Verdugo is very, very extraterrestrial looking, like a humanoid insect. That is something we've not seen. Which, with a carapace and malicious intent.
With a carapace and malicious
well, intelligence at least.
New Twitter bio just dropped.
Yeah, it's so good to look at that thing. Yeah, and I think the Novistadors as well. Very like they stand out, and the Regenerators obviously like huge standouts, but very annoying, but super scary. Like I remember playing the original game and just like most of the time just avoiding the Regenerators if I could, because they're just so threatening, and the Verdugo doesn't give you that chance. You just you have to fight that guy, but one of them anyway. Could you imagine fighting both of them? Oh my word. Yeah,
bring it on. Can I have ice, please? I need some ice canisters, like, right now.
If I was to think of, like, kind of least favorites or kind of weak points, this is going to sound strange, maybe, but, like, I feel like sometimes the Ganados, they can feel a little bit too human. They can kind of blend into the background sometimes. They can reduce that kind of the horror aspect of the parasite itself. And like also on top of that, at the same time, like the hive mind aspect, I think is actually incredibly underused, like in gameplay. I mean, because all we really hear them say is just repeating "Sadler, Sadler," or waving their arms in the air, like saying wanky Spanish, But yeah, so I would have liked. It would have been cool. If we saw some kind of connection there, say if like a chainsaw, I think there is a little bit of it, but not enough. Say if a chainsaw dude came up, which in my opinion should be up in the hierarchy maybe, right? Or any of the higher Ganados, it would have been cool for one of them to call on the group and then to go after you. That would have really kind of reinforced the hive mind that they were kind of going for. Yeah. What else? Yeah, I like in terms of just overall the BOWs, there, despite what I just said about the Ganados, the BOWs in RE4, they give you a sense of tension constantly, which is you always want in a horror survival game or survival horror game. Very realistic. I know that term is maybe overused at sometimes, but it feels quite realistic in how they like their heads blow up and like you don't know what you're going to get next. And I think like the life cycle is well respected as you go through as well, which can add to the consistency, and it's got good variety as you go through. Yeah, that's my overall views on the BOWs.